Not too much of a celebration for pharma stocks though, and we have our next conversation on that. Nimish Mehta, founder at Research Delta Advisors, joins us to analyze what's been happening with pharma stocks. To just set the context, the Biden-Kamala Harris administration has announced a plan to ensure that Medicare enrolled patients would effectively see prices of generic drugs at not more than $2 in their list. Of course, it's an important announcement coming in before the elections in the US, will be implemented only in 2027. But as a result, you saw the Nifty Pharma taking a huge knock. Cipla, Lupin, these were some of the worst hit on the pharma pack. Now, why is this a matter of concern? Let me start right there with Nimish Mehta's view. Nimish, very good morning to you. Thank you for speaking with us here at NDTV Profit. Let's get your take. Is this very, very bad news for Indian pharma companies, and why?
Well, it's definitely bad news, I would say so. How much bad it is obviously will lie in the details. As of now, what we understand is that this $2 is the monthly co-payment that is fixed for a patient. That really does not mean the pricing of any drug is being fixed. And at the same time, the government, I think the US government is likely to start with a list of 150 drugs. So 150 drugs is not too many in terms of the total number of coverage that one would have. So yes, it is a step in pricing, towards a pricing pressure. The most important part is that US government so far was a price taker, which means that they would kind of negotiate from whatever market prices are available. But now they would probably become price makers. So they will directly, they know the cost of what they are going to pay, and hence will try to negotiate price accordingly. So that's the biggest thing.
Nimish, so yesterday we saw Lupin that ended 6% lower. Cipla was down 3%. Torrent also fell over 3% in trade. And the drugs that are doing the rounds that could be available for no more than $2 are penicillin, metformin, lithium, and drugs for high cholesterol, blood pressure, and other chronic conditions. Which specific companies would this impact even at the pilot level, which could be all the way out in 2027?
No, so first, again, let me clarify that this $2 is the cost of what a patient is likely to pay. This does not mean this is going to be the cost for any drug that is, a part of that 150 drug list. So it is the co-payment, so essentially the government is trying to ensure that a patient knows how much he is likely to pay on a regular basis, because these are essentially for chronic medications. And
does that mean that Indian companies could still sell it at a price higher than $2 and the difference would be absorbed by the government funds?
Absolutely. So the way it works is that, there is a co-payment, which means that the patient has to give some amount of money or will have to participate in the overall expense. So the overall expense when it comes to Medicare, Medicaid would be obviously very low. But still it was always in percentage, and hence a patient would never know what is likely to be his or her cost if he is, say, succumbing to any disease on a regular basis, like a diabetes or a cardiovascular disease. Here, the government is trying to ensure that he or she has to pay only $2 per month for one medication, and hence he or she will know what is his total cost going to be. That does not mean the total cost being paid to the manufacturers is going to be $2. That is not likely to be like that. Also, I would like to add one more thing. I think this entire plan has been derived or devised after obviously doing a lot of research. What we understand is that within this cost limit, I think they were already hitting some 60 or 80, 60, 70% of the total drugs that were dispensed through Medicare and Medicaid. So it is not that it is likely to change the dynamics significantly at the start itself, but yes, because government has kind of stepped into controlling the prices, that itself is a negative in a longer term.
Okay, Nimish, so I presume that you don't see too much of downside here in terms of market share or revenues for Indian firms. There is a brokerage note which says that it could be maybe low single digits. Would you concur?
It's again, I don't know whether to put a number to it. First of all, it's not going to be implemented before 2027. That is the first point.
Sure.
So whatever
done.
is likely to, whenever it gets done. And then, as I mentioned, how much is the price the state governments are likely to pay is not. I'm not very clear, but from what I understand, not a lot many products will get influenced by lower pricing than what we pay today or what they get today, at least at the start of the plan, which is where it includes 150 drugs.